sorry. Here you
Hello.
go.
Oh, there we are.
There we are. There we are.
Holy, that
Nope.
sounds good.
We're good. Now we
Both
sound.
of us, we there? Oh, there we are.
Now you sound really good.
Oh,
Okay.
beautiful.
Well, look. I mean, these are the hazards of live radio,
You got it.
and what do we have to do in jazz when there is something that we
gotta improvise.
We got to improvise. And what is something Miles Davis said about, there's no such thing as the wrong note. It just depends what note you play next.
So true.
Right? Okay. So now that everybody can hear us, I just want to go back to what I was talking about with Paul a second ago. When you play a lick or incorporate something into a tune that's unconsciously influenced you from the past, you don't even know where it comes from, and then you're saying, oh wow, maybe that do you find that happens frequently, like almost all the time?
All the time.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played anything that was entirely from my own brain. Everything's inspired by something I've listened to. I feel like most musicians feel like that
Right.
in a way.
I mean, and we talk so much in jazz about original create. I mean, I do wonder at a certain point if there is such a thing.
I think it's your creativity and your uniqueness is your ability to combine all your influences and find a way to make it your own. But ultimately, it's just a massive toolbox. I've always looked at it like that. You just acquire this huge toolbox of vocabulary and figure out ways to combine, different phrases.
Well, and for all the stuff that, as composers that we intentionally steal, for lack of a better phrase.
Well, you know what they say the good ones
borrow.
Yeah, the good ones borrow, the best ones steal
yeah.
outright, right? Something like that.
But I think you're totally right. I think so much stuff subconsciously comes out, and I think that's where the part of the title of the record comes from. Is this idea of things being almost familiar? Like if you're listening to the record, you'll hear like little tidbits of melodies that you're like, that sounds like something I know. And that, it's really apt that we're starting the conversation like that, because that kind of was a main thought throughout this whole record, was hoping that listeners would hear similarities to some of their favorite music, some of their favorite songs, as I have when writing it.
I want to touch on that a little bit, because I think the overall feel of this record is unique insofar as, on one hand, it feels like a love letter, like we're talking about, to a lot of the classic stuff that I know that you both like, but also it presents these ideas to the listener, I think, in kind of contemporary clothing, especially in terms of some of the production elements. So can you guys get into that a little bit? Because I know that there's stuff that you're able to do in the studio that presents that kind of feel.
Yeah, well, Paul's kind of a wizard in the studio, and anyone who knows Paul knows that. I'm just very grateful to be able to work with Paul in a lot of ways. I mean, he's my best friend. Yeah, I mean, what's cool about the studio is it lets you turn it. The recording studio itself is an instrument. And I feel like the music of that era, like of the late '60s, the '60s and the '50s, honestly, when you have people like Les Paul and you have George Martin and Brian Wilson and all these different people who really figured out how to use the recording studio as an instrument. And that was a real big inspiration throughout this process, and honestly an ongoing inspiration when composing now.
Absolutely.
And Paul, you have been someone who's been utilizing the studio as an instrument, in addition to playing. I mean, you're a wonderful guitarist. I mean, you're doing some really high level stuff on your instrument, but also, doing a lot of production work in the studio for some really pretty heavy duty artists. Tell me what's that sort of career arc been for you, and how crazy has that gotten?
I'm blessed to have been able to work with successful artists, and I've learned a lot doing that. But I find the most joy and rewarding sessions are the ones with people like Justin and friends that are really inspiring musicians and really love music for such a pure reason. And that's why it was so fun getting to work with Justin on this record, because he brought in such beautiful melodies, and I just wanted to accentuate them, you know, with the tools that I have available. And I wanted to color the album and give it a certain feel. So we're going to keep making records. And
always, yeah. And, you know, I mean, you know, Paul and I go way back, too. I mean, we've been best friends now for like, man, what's it?
I'm going to start crying, dude.
13 years?
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, for a while. But, you know, so it's been fun as Paul's been building his, like, you know, his slime pit, you know, for all this recording stuff, that, you know, just to mess around and be able to, like, toy around. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I love about, like, working with Paul and also working with the entire band is, like, I mean,
such a good band.
The whole band is, I would call my best friends. And, you know, it allows us to play around. I think as a composer and as a player and as any, you know, as a human, I think, you know, we have to leave room to play around with the art and just have fun with it. And that's when good things happen.
All right. Well, speaking of, we know that the two of you are very close, best friends. That's beautiful. but you mentioned a larger universe of best friends, and I want to get to some of these guys as well. So let's play another cut that features more of the extended family, as it were. Justin Joyce leading the band on drums from his album Almost Familiar, and another Joyce and Castelluzzo composition, joined here by Ed Kornhauser on piano, Sean Hickey on bass, Castelluzzo on guitar, Batya McAdams Summer on violin, Bradley Nash and Travis Klein doing the work on flutes. This is a tune titled That Was Never, and it's Breaking Jazz.
Stay jazzy at jazz88.org or get our free app for smartphones and tablets. Just search for KSDS at your respective Google or Apple store. Once it's downloaded, you can see our current playlist archive, and you can even make a donation straight from the app. Jazz88.org has more information.
Yeah, right back here on Breaking Jazz. That's drummer Justin Joyce. The name of the tune, Ciao Bella. Almost Familiar, the new album, led by Justin Joyce and featuring some of his very best friends, including, but not limited to, Ed Kornhauser there on piano, Sean Hickey on bass. And Justin, as that was playing and I saw you laughing, at one of the runs on piano, presumably that Ed made there, and just talk to me about this. I mean, he's really a next level type of piano player.
Oh, Ed's incredible. Ed's always been incredible. My favorite thing about Ed is he's one of the most idiomatic players I've ever gotten to play with. You put Ed in any situation and he can adapt to the style, and he knows it. He'll probably tell you that like he doesn't know some as well as others, but I mean, that's how we all are. But he's, we're always our toughest critic. But I try to take that same approach to the drums. I think the biggest thing is, to serve the music is being idiomatic to it. And, Ed's got the chops and got the lines, and he's, the vocabulary, he's incredible on every aspect. But that, I would say that's always been one of my most inspirational things that Ed's taught me throughout the years, both by osmosis and by just him mentioning that to me. We've talked about it several times.
Yeah, I mean, he's really got it all in his bag and is comfortable in seemingly in any setting. And we were talking about this idea of originality and how referential the music is. And is there such a thing as pure originality? Does it really matter? But to me, I think that we undervalue in terms of, cultural critics or critics of music or whatever, undervalue the type of musician like Ed. Another player I think of like I think Emmett Cohen is wonderful. I think that I agree with some critics who say that there is nothing particularly original that he does, but he has managed to synthesize 100 years of music up to today and has that at his fingertips at any given moment. And that, I think that's sometimes dismissed as like, he's a pastiche artist or whatever. But I think there's a genius to being a pastiche artist at that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, I think it's the most honest way in many ways to yourself, because, I know for a fact someone like Ed and myself both love a lot of different styles of music and care to play a lot of different styles of music. That's one big thing about this record too, right? If you go through this whole record, you hear a lot of different idioms of jazz and jazz adjacent things. And that way, you can really live in different worlds, and, it's not really being a jack of all trades, but it's really just allowing yourself to be invested in the different, parts of the umbrella. You got all these different branches that stem off the word jazz, and they're all kind of, they all have value. So, when you have someone who's into, samba and Brazilian stuff or Afro-Cuban stuff, like I'm into all of that, and I'm sure a lot of jazz players are as well, of course, and people in general. So I feel like allowing yourself to be the jack of all trades, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, is really honest to yourself, to allow yourself to really, live in that world, I guess is.
Well, I think that musicians, especially more and more infrequently these days, and more people your generation are just not nearly as married to the labels and to the boundaries that have been created by marketing people and gatekeepers and media or whatever. And yet I think that you would agree that there's no doubt a sense of responsibility to nod to your mentors and to the folks that taught them. How do you balance doing honest work that allows you to say what you want to say with a contemporary vocabulary, with giving that affirmative nod to your mentors and acknowledging like this is a music with a lineage? How do you balance both priorities?
I almost feel like they go hand in hand to some sort of degree. I feel like diving into each idiom really helps me say what I want to say better. You know, I mean, sometimes I have these ideas and like I'm like, oh, if I only knew how to write swing tunes or something like that, it would be like, oh, this tune doesn't really fit that way. But because we can study these different grooves and these different, ostinatos or just any of these elements of that make different styles of music different and similar. I think it really helps me as opposed to hinders me to say what I want to say more honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, let's go to you. Let's go to your. No, I'm curious. Are these conversations, these sort of, quasi overwrought arguments between preservationists and, for lack of a better term, sort of jazz progressives? Are those conversations happening amongst musicians, or are they just happening amongst people who write books about jazz, like on Twitter?
No, they are, and there's so many different groups of musicians. There's the ultra purists. And then there's the ones who I feel like almost look down on purists, or like the ones who really honor the past. And then there's the ones who are kind of in between, where it's just a decision you have to make as a musician, I think, if you want to. I think it has a lot to do with your ego. And I think a lot of musicians don't honor the greats as much as they should in a way. It's like you go to school for 4 years, most musicians, and then you get out and it's almost like they just forget about everything and they just want to be as crazy, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, like, I think if you spend enough time really trying to sound like your mentors, mm-hmm. I think you really have a better approach to sounding like yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like anything you really dive into like that in like any technique or study or something like that, you really, even if it's not what you want to do, you learn about yourself through the process. Like, mm-hmm. There was times where I wanted to be the next Elvin Jones, and I mean, as lovely as that would be, I mean, that's not my measure for success anymore, Mm-hmm. And I feel like, when you're saying it's a decision you have to make, I think that's 100% right, and I think it's also a decision you have to make every day.
Mm-hmm. The older I get, like, I'll listen to guitarists that I wasn't blown away by when I was a kid, like Barney Kessel, and now I listen to Barney Kessel and I'm just in awe of how musical he is. So I think it's like your taste buds develop and your taste develops, and you appreciate really subtle musical things that you wouldn't appreciate when you're younger, because when you're a younger musician, you're more attracted to really wild, harmonically dense, like just things that you don't understand. And then once you get past that and you look past that and you're just like, well, what does that make me feel? I think now, personally, I'm attracted to things that make me feel things. And
100%.
That's what I think all musicians should be looking for, is like getting a feeling and giving the listener a feeling. And however you can do that is the right thing to do. So,
see, this is why we do these interviews here on Breaking Jazz, because you get incredible stuff like that, real moments from great artists. Come on, you can't get this anywhere else these days. This is good stuff. And talking about a tune that's a classic standard that is done in a way that I've never heard before. And we talk about whether true originality exists. Certainly you're building off of a classic here, but this next tune that I'm about to play with you, I promise you know the tune, you know the standard, it's in the songbook, but you've never heard it presented like this, and there is genius to that. It's another one off this new record by Justin Joyce. The name of the album, Almost Familiar, released at the very end of the calendar year 2025. Features bassist Sean Hickey, Paul Castelluzzo on guitar, the artist otherwise known as HETHER in his forays into the pop stratosphere, and he is ascending to the stratosphere these days. Don't let his humility fool you. This is a tune originally written by Michel Legrand. And Paul, just give me 10, 15 seconds and how this was sort of your brainchild, or did you both kind of work on this one together?
Which one is it?
I'm talking about what are you doing the rest of your life?
Oh,
I mean, this was one where we just kind of were in at Paul's and we just started playing it. And I mean, I'm a big Michel Legrand was a big influence on this record. And we both fit really well into the theme of the album, which, I mean, this album is kind of, there's multiple themes of this album, but one big one is like it's like a love lost album. And you know, this movie comes from the song comes from the movie The Happy Ending, where in the movie the context of the song, you know, it starts with, you know, like a marriage proposal, and it ends with the main character asking themselves, oh, like after the breakup, oh, what, you know, like what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And, you know, putting it at the end of the record, it felt like that was a very, very apt thing to do given the rest of the music. So it kind of, we recorded it and it just kind of ended up on the record.
Well, I'll tell you, Paul was talking about music that makes you feel something. This is a tune that's going to make you feel something. Justin Joyce, Sean Hickey, Paul Castelluzzo, their take on Michel Legrand's What Are You Doing the Rest of Your Life? It's Breaking Jazz. Yeah, new music from Julian Lage, one of the great musicians in the world today, here on Breaking Jazz. Red Elm, the name of the tune. Scenes from Above, that's the new album from Julian, released last week on the venerable Blue Note label. Joined by John Medeski, MB3 organ and piano there, Jorge Roeder bass, Kenny Wollison drums and percussion. You know, Julian will be in town with this band at UCSD in October. And that seems like a long way away, but it'll be here before you know it. And I'll tell you, that would be fun to have Julian on the show, chop it up with him a little bit. Prior to Julian, we heard drummer Justin Joyce. He's joining us in studio this evening on Breaking Jazz. So glad to have both Justin and Paul Castelluzzo, guitarist. And it was really the tune we heard there, kind of the brainchild of Castelluzzo there, or at least he's featured in large part of it. What Are You Doing the Rest of Your Life? Their great take on the tune, standard tune written by Michel Legrand, joined by Sean Hickey and Paul Castelluzzo. It was Justin Joyce from his new album, Almost Familiar. Matt Silver here with you, moderating things, keeping things in order, and bringing you the GM. That's the good music as I see it, hear it, and feel it. We go from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific each and every Sunday night. My mantra is bringing you the music and musicians of the moment, jazz as it is being played today, jazz in the jazz-adjacent universe and ecosystem, ever expanding outward while giving all due deference to the giants on whose shoulders all these musicians stand. And speaking of one of those giants, we've got news coming out of New York City this week that Wynton Marsalis is stepping down from his role as artistic director at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And I'm going to segue into our next selection by mentioning that, because this saxophonist right here has been part of the saxophone section of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra for quite some time now. And she is really good, and her new album is excellent. Her name is Alexa Tarantino. Her new album, The Roar and the Whisper, was released late last year on Jazz at Lincoln Center's in-house record label, Blue Engine Records. On it, she's joined by Stephen Feifke on piano, Philip Norris on bass, and the son of the great guitarist Mark Whitfield Sr., Mark Whitfield Jr., on drums. This is Alexa Tarantino on soprano saxophone, bringing you a tune titled Inside Looking Out. And yes, indeedy, it's Breaking Jazz. The great Alexa Tarantino, a mainstay of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra's saxophone section. On soprano saxophone there, Inside Looking Out, the name of the tune, The Roar and the Whisper, her latest release on Blue Engine Records. Alexa Tarantino, great stuff there. My name is Matt Silver. Welcome back to Breaking Jazz. We've got just a few minutes left this evening, and I really want to give the most genuine, heartfelt thanks to my guest tonight, the great drummer, San Diego-based musician Justin Joyce, whose new album, Almost Familiar, is should be totally familiar to you now. If it's not, well, go out and get it and make it familiar to yourself. Paul Castelluzzo, also on that album, joined us tonight as well, and really such a honestly a true privilege to have such excellent young musicians, and you guys are still young, by the way. You know, anybody under the age of 65 in the jazz or jazz adjacent world is considered young. I think I heard something one time where Branford Marsalis was talking to a group of people, and he said that I've been called up and coming in the press for the last 30 years.
That's hilarious.
You know, so that's just kind of how the dialogue around music has developed. But thank you guys so much, and if you guys can, Justin, where are you playing around town coming up? What's going on? Where can we see you?
Oh man, well I'm kind of like a I jump around a lot. I play with Ed every once in a while at Ed Kornhauser and Sean Hickey at Hamul Casino at the Prime Cut Steakhouse. We'll be there this Friday. I play with Mikan Zlakovic every once in a while. I'll be with him Wednesday at the Manhattan of La Jolla. Yeah, and then and then I'm doing this this Fleetwood Mac little dinner show at Off Broadway Live. So I'm kind of just all over the place for the next few months.
Wait a second, I kind of love that.
Yeah, we're doing a Fleetwood Mac tribute. It's a really cool spot. Shout out to Off Broadway Live.
You know what you're gonna end up doing? Your next album, you're gonna have some Fleetwood Mac, some jazz takes on. I've heard some great ones, by the way. Nicole Zaritis is one I recommend. She's got some great sort of jazz takes on Stevie Nicks tunes.
Man, good melodies are good melodies, you know?
You're right.
Good tunes are good tunes.
Good tunes are good tunes. Paul, I know you've got so much going on, especially up in L.A. You've got a new album out yourself. I am going to find the name of it here. Holy Water.
Yes, sir.
Released at the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us what you've got going on. Where can people catch you?
I don't have any gigs lined up for the next few months, but I do think I'm going to do a tour during summertime, which I'm still planning, but the dates are not released. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be making new songs and recording. And
I can tell you, as somebody who is an avowed loyalist to this music, in preparation, I listened to Paul's new record, otherwise known as the artist called Heather, and I'll tell you, this album Holy Water is worth your time. It's really fantastic. And Justin, you've been playing.
he played on it. Yes, sir.
You've been playing with Paul in this context as well.
Yeah, I'm on a few tracks on Vibes. Another great cast, another great crew on that record, and also some bleed through onto my record. I mean, Travis Klein.
Big San Diego crew.
Yeah.
Jake Nager, Travis, Ed Kornhauser, all the friends. But yeah, we'll be gigging around.
Yeah, we'll be playing for sure.
You catch us. We're everywhere.
That's awesome. Well, all I've got to say is that you guys are.
Thank you for having us, by the
I
way.
want to say thank you. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. You're the
me?
man.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? It's totally my pleasure. Like I said, I'm glad that I get to be just like a small little downstream parasite of this this community, because you guys do it right. You play music that makes people feel something, and you make it much more tolerable to live in a time that is not always all that tolerable.
And you make sure people listen to it. So I mean, we're eternally grateful always.
Well,
we're nothing without you, man.
You guys are welcome back at any time. I want to end tonight with a great tune I heard the other night from the pianist Bill Lawrence, originally from London, England, studied at the University of North Texas, where he met Michael League, and together they founded a little band called Snarky Puppy, who's become one of the biggest bands in the world, really. But this is a tune that is just Bill Lawrence, solo piano. The name of the album is Lumen. It was released late last year on ACT Music, great European label. And this is a tune that translates from the French to English as Golden Thread. I want to say, may the music of Breaking Jazz be the golden thread you carry with you throughout the week ahead. This is Bill Lawrence with Fil d'Or, and it's Breaking Jazz. Sorry for the mispronunciation. See y'all next week.